Oh, welcome back. Okay, it's too cold to paint. We've had what we call third winter. It's the freeze right before Easter, which we have every year. We had it. It's pretty chilly out here. At least the wind's not blowing like it was yesterday. It was just downright intolerable yesterday with the north wind blowing like it was. I'm in here now. It's in the middle 42, 44 range. So it's really too cold to paint, and it's really too cold to be out here doing anything. It seems like 40 wouldn't be too bad, but I'd have to bundle up and I have to crawl all over the back of the Range Rover because the next step we want to do is to paint. So the idea is that we want to paint, and didn't have all my props. All right, so basically we have Z-bar. Remember the Z-bar we put in? Okay, so we got the Z-bar, we put the Z-bar in, and it's on the bed. This is the bed of the truck over here. And so now we have a lovely gap between the two pieces. Let me get them lined up here. Now we have a gap between the two pieces where we welded it with plug welds through the top, right? I think you remember that. The idea now is to get paint in between these two, because also you will remember how much trouble we had getting these two pieces of steel to meld together. So we basically took all of the paint and primer off of it. So now my surfaces underneath the truck, this is the bottom, this is the top, are now completely sitting in the rest zone of water, of everything kind of splashing up underneath. So yeah, we can bed liner the heck out of that, but it's still gonna get some kind of water in there at some point in the future. Maybe not this year, but maybe next. First time I put her in the pond or cross a creek and we get water up to the tires, we're gonna have water in there. So we gotta get a way to get some paint to it. Conversely, on the inside, on the opposite side, on the top side, we also have the bed of the truck sitting on this panel. So the whole bed, the one we built, the whole big piece, and we've patched and repaired, it's also sitting on steel. Okay, so we've got two surfaces, one over here and now one over here, that both need, where my hands are, we both need some kind of paint put between the two surfaces. So thinking through this, welded it together, probably was a bad idea. So I started doing some research and I thought through some stuff, and then I found these online. So I bought a bag full of them. And basically they're spray tops that you can put one of the spray deals on it. Okay. So in theory, I buy a lot of paint, and this is the Ace brand stuff, not sponsored. And then, so they leave the nipple in it. So I'll have to remove these nipples. So I'm gonna attempt to do that now. Let me get some pliers. Got some pliers. I'm gonna pull that inside nipple out. See if that works. It does work. Okay. And the question is, not spraying my face. No, we're not gonna do that. So I'm gonna put this over the top of that, and we're gonna see if it actually sprays out. Well, I didn't shake this. Does it matter? No. It's an old can anyway. Okay, so now I've got it lined up. Let's see if it sprays. It doesn't, well, it is kind of, but it is definitely spraying underneath the nozzle. So this one's not working very well. So experimentation will need to occur on that. Let's try one of the others. I buy a lot of Rust-Oleum product too, and this one also has that same kind of nipple tip on it. Don't get any paint on my nice pants. All right, we'll spray into our bag. That way we know I'm not spraying it on anything. All right, so we're gonna spray into our bag. Let's see if we get any spray out of it. All right, that can might not be the best choice. All right, this one is questionable whether it even would spray or not. Let's punt. Let's pull that one off. All right. I did notice that it does fit. So this one is a new can. This one should spray, if we can get it set in there. That can, this one I just brought up, it came off my shelf. It's old, it's probably bad. So, all right, I'm gonna press it onto this nipple like I meant it. And it did paint, did run in. We are getting almost as much paint on the outside of the can over the head as we are getting into the other. Dang nabbit. That's a bit disappointing. Now I've got paint on my floor. Clean up with a glove. Well, that's disappointing because I was hoping that would work. That's a bummer. Wonder if it's just this type of can. Probably just this type of can. Being as it is not well done. Well, that's a bit of a disappointment. I was really hoping those would fit better and work better. Let's put some gloves on before we get too far. Get paint all over us. We'll do some experimenting with some cans. I've got another set of cans I just bought the other day too. And we'll just experiment with those as well. All right, we got gloves on. I am wearing a shirt I do not want to ruin, so that's a bummer. Not the smartest move today, dummy. All right, so we're gonna try this one again, see if it's just, no, it is definitely coming up. It's definitely coming up under the cap. So, definitely coming up under the cap. Bummer. Blech. Get one of our other cans, see if it matters. This is the undercoating. Ugh, this stuff is not going to be what we're going to do. Definitely not doing that one. All right, this is my Rust-Oleum. This one's a new can. Pop that top off. See if it matters. I got 12. I got a dozen of these, so I'm just gonna get another one out. And I wonder if I can pull the top out of this. Nope. So those don't do that. All right, so I've pulled that out. It's built differently. It's built differently. Okay, so what I pulled out is fatter at the top than at the bottom. That's the opposite of my can, so that's not working. That's why it's not sealing. Now, if this piece is the part that could be removed, I wonder. Wonder. Nope, that's not gonna work either. Still leaking out from the bottom, from the can. Well, that's a bust. Spent a few bucks on that. Not a lot, but just a little bit. That's a bust. It will work. There's gonna be a lot of waste involved, but it's not gonna be great. Darn. All right, well, so much for that. Okay, I did a little experimenting and I sorted out how to do this. Okay, so taking the existing spray nozzle from the top of the can and using these little tiny drill bits I've got, I drilled out the existing one, and then I have a drill bit exactly the right size for the nozzle, and getting those drilled out, and then I got the nozzle end squared away. I am the smartest man alive! Super genius. All right, that's not true. But here's one set up already, and watch what happens. Yay me! All right, that's gonna work. As long as I don't drill too deeply. I screwed one up, so I got it sorted out. All right, we can do the spraying as soon as it's warm enough to do it. Okay, the other thing we've been thinking about today is what to do with our blank canvas. What are we gonna do with our back once we get ready to go? All right, so I'm envisioning a bed of some sort on this half. I want a bed platform, and I want one of those drawers underneath it. So it'll go back up there, and then this is the center. So I was hoping to get at least that much of it made into a bed. Okay, my current toolbox, which doesn't have to make the transition, is basically military aluminum medical box, medium. It's not the skinny one, it's not the double thick. There's one they make that's twice as tall as this. There's one they make that's half as tall as this. I got the medium ones. I have several of them. I have one with all my tools in it. I have one with all my camping gear in it, like stove and stuff. And then I just have a spare one because I thought, these are awesome. I'm loving it. So I bought them when I could find them. They've become kind of expensive now, so I'm not willing to get rid of them. But they would make a great camp box on top. As long as you put anything up there that's too heavy, you could store stuff up there. So mounting one up there and then having access to it on top of the roof rack is just fine. But for my tools and my tow rope and spare parts are all in there. And it takes up 19.5 inches wide. So I've laid out the ruler there at 19.5 inches. So if I kept that toolbox, and I usually put it here at the end, that'll be 19.5 inches wide. So I'll have plenty of room for the bed I was hoping for on this side over here. So that is still an option for me. It won't go that far up. I think it only goes up to about right in here. So that side could still be a fridge. Gasp! Yes, I really do want one. I'm an ice chest camper right now. It works just fine. I don't have any problems. We don't go out long enough to worry about needing ice or whatever. So that works out pretty good so far. If I upgraded my ice chest to kind of more efficient one, I would probably then be able to go out for more days with just an ice chest, not wiring it up. But the other end of that too is you're going to spend $400 for a really nice ice chest. That's half the price of a fridge. So I'm probably thinking fridge. And that might be the plan. I don't know yet. I'm still thinking through it, but yeah, pretty much at this point, that's what I'm thinking. Now, the next piece that we need to also think about is where is the spare battery going to go? So way up there, but where the passenger seat footwell would be, right in that section right there, that would be where I would put spare battery and a battery management system of some kind. And then the refrigerator could go right on top of it. So it'll be right behind the driver's seat, which will be right there. And then I'd have the rest of that area for that. The bed on this side would extend into that zone up there behind the seat. That seat's not in its exact spot, but I'm only 5'11", and 6'2" would be only needed. So 6'2" comes pretty far up there. Let's just get that out, because I've slept in the back of the truck before, back in the olden days when it had carpet. 6'2", giving myself some room here. That's 6'2", it goes way up there. So, and still room, the seat could be moved in and out. So if someone really tall, like my son was with us, he wouldn't be all that uncomfortable up there. So those are the thoughts at this point, how to plan for it. Over here is going to be that subwoofer that I've shown. And then over here in the, where the spare tire footwell, spare well thingy is, ultimately I want a 5-gallon water tank. Let me find if I've got one of those. Where? Okay, so that's what a 5-gallon water tank looks like in there. So that works, and then it's easy to get to. I could actually move it to where it was easily retrieved right here, where it would go in and out quite easily, because you know you got to get it filled at some point. So and not filling it in the vehicle, that way you don't spill and make a mess, whatever. But somehow connected here, and then a hot water mechanism of some kind going next to it, so that I can get hot water out of that to take a shower, or to wash dishes, or take a shower, or wash dishes. Yeah. Sounds like a plan, right? Okay. That's some of the thoughts for the back, the planning. The planning must occur. So there's a lot of wires that are probably going to be needed run. I know there's going to be electricity run back here. I need electricity run for up here for lights across the back. And so there needs to be some power outages, power lines run up here. So far, I've got some ideas about how I want to do some things inside the vehicle. Once I'm inside, I want to hit a button and be able to light up the entire truck around it. I don't tend to camp where there's dangerous things going on and people stealing from me, or you know, wandering around in my camp in the middle of the night. But I have camped down at the river where I had doubts about river rats running up and down the deal and sneaking into camp and stealing stuff. I've seen videos of people who have literally meth crazed people stealing stuff outside their vehicle. And I want to light it up so I have the tactical advantage at least of lights. And then if I need to get out and perforate them or defend myself or anything stupid, I have at least some idea what I'm dealing with outside the vehicle. And if you want to light things up while you're camping, that's also a great idea. So, but those would be lights on the roof rack, and I want a button system. I do have some ideas about how I want that to go. So I definitely want to be able to turn some lights on inside and outside of the vehicle from inside the vehicle. Not remotely, just with switches that I can reach. That's kind of some of the ideas, basically. If I was going to add a diesel heater or something like that, we definitely need to have room for it. If I was going to put the diesel heater up on top in a box, I would want it to be able to put the vent would have to come in. So good news, we'd have some kind of a system where I could move a vent into the vehicle where heat would come in. There's some other ideas. This may be an evolution of changes that I make. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that's going through my head right now. I've captured a lot of ideas from the Pinterest and some of the other places and videos I've stored to watch dozens of times to see how other people did it. But yeah, there's some ideas that needs to be occurring. my bed with the drawer, I want it to come out here and I can cook on it. So I want my stove in there. I don't want to pull my stove out anymore. I want to be able to just pull my stove. If I do want to move it out and put it on a picnic bench somewhere out in the camp, I can still do that. But I want it simple, so I can just pull it out and then do my cooking and then be done with it. There is some ideas that, you know, if I did that, I do have to have the whole vehicle open. And so bugs get in while I'm cooking, and then I deal with bugs while I'm sleeping. That's probably not ideal. But it also has its advantages that it's easy to set up and tear down. And that's my whole thing. That's why I'm gonna build a camp bed inside the truck. I want my camping environment to be very quick to set up. I'm ready to stop. I'm cooking food in 10 minutes and I'm eating it in 5. So that's kind of the idea. Sleeping inside the vehicle, 1, I'll be dry. 2, technically I'll be warm too if I wanted to be. That's basically it. So my loss this weekend, because I can't paint. But you can see that this is where we would have to put our paint. So the idea was to get the nipple and it'd be right up against it where I could just spray and inject the paint in between there. That was the idea. Probably daft. It's completely insane, but that was the idea of what I wanted to do. I was even going to manipulate the end of this, even making it like flay out like a dovetail so that it would be flatter, and my spray, instead of being at a point like this where it came out, it would be flatter, and so I would get more of an injection like this. Just an idea. It might not even work, but something to think about. All right, that's all I got this week because it's too cold to do anything else. Let's hope for warmer weather next week. And then we can get this painting done. We can get the bed liner put in its spot, get it all sealed up, get all the seam sealer done. And then this would be sealed up and be complete in the back, and we're ready to start reassembling the front of the vehicle and getting some idea of where wires need to go, and then get that wiring run, and then get that front end put back together so we can drive this beast, because that's where we are. The last thing on this video, which I did mention about 2 or 3 or 4 videos ago, you can see, look what's falling out. This is falling off of the truck when I move it in and out. These are the poly bushings in the back. That, I mean, I didn't like roughhousing it, it's just moving. That's what's fallen off. That stuff is perished. So rubber's going to be purchased, and those will be replaced at some point soon. So that's another job. I think that's the last of the poly though, because all the front's in rubber already, because I dealt with that problem when we had the death wobble, which was super fun to diagnose and sort out, and then re-experience, and then sort out, and then re-experience. But I think I got it sorted out, because if you don't put oils on your rubber bits underneath there, they don't disintegrate. So I'm using the mineral oil based power steering fluid that leaks. It doesn't destroy the rubbers fast, so that's keeping that from death wobbling on me. That's all I got. I said this already. That's all I got. That's all I got. Anyway, that's this week. You guys have a safe week, and I will talk to you again next week. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe. Everybody else in the YouTube world says like and subscribe right at the beginning. Well, I want you to watch the video. If you don't like it, don't like and subscribe. But if you get to the end of the video, then like it. Okay, cool. As my son says on his videos, 1% of you are still watching. I think it's true on mine too. 5% of you are still watching. Anyway, thanks for everything, and I appreciate it. Have a good week.